What's this? Another Comics League Live? Hello, ladies and gents. I am Jared. This is Nick from the Phoenix Press. As always, what's up, brother?
Hello there.
And we have got Josh Herrera from the Cell Movement. What's up, brother?
How's it going, y'all? Thanks for having me. I'm excited. My debut on Comics Lead.
Anytime. So naturally, this is SnyderVerse safe channel. So I think we're all good here. So
Snyder, what's that?
Heard of that.
All right, might as well.
Yeah, second Warner Brothers.
There you go.
Oh, they'll be there. Trust me, Warner Brothers is eating a lot of crow.
They're sucking it right about now. So the topic of tonight's discussion is the SAG strike and what this means for, like, first off, the Cell movement and the Ayer cut movement. Because if anything, I think this pretty much guarantees that the Ayer cut is coming in, as well as the Schumacher cut, because they need content.
Wait, are you telling me the Snyder Appreciation Group is going on strike? Sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm a wizard for acronyms. I'm a wizard for acronyms, so it's like, yeah, I had to.
But Josh, before we actually get started, I actually have like a question I normally ask all the new guests. What got you into comics / DC?
Yeah, for me, honestly, so the first thing of like pop culture that I remember as a kid, I was born in '88, so I was right there for Michael Keaton's 1989. But my man. But my first Batman was actually.
Oh no!
So,
that's quite a pick.
Yeah.
Holy old fart, Batman.
but imagine that, imagine as a kid seeing the hyper, comic pop culture of like the 60s Batman, and then immediately like a year or two later watching on home video Batman 89. I was like, whoa, like I was like blown away.
That is such a whiplash. I don't know how your neck is still attached.
Exactly. And as a kid, like I sought out, like, where can I get more of this, right? So I think my first comic had to have been like something I discovered in my like school library, where they had like a just like encyclopedia of like Batman.
Oh.
So from there, I went and they had the spinner racks back in the day, like at the grocery stores. And so I would just get like, I think around that time when I started getting into comics, like I think Nightfall was pretty big. Like I remember having the Bane ripping the cow. It's like a cover of like Bane ripping the cow.
I wonder what would go first, your mind or your body.
So fun fact, we actually interviewed the writer of that story.
Really?
Chuck Dixon, yeah.
Nice. And that's still iconic, to this day. I mean, McFarlane just announced that he's like re-releasing a like Nightfall Batman figure at Comic-Con. So it's like still coming around
with a snapping and then unsnapping back.
It's complete with back-breaking action.
It's false advertising because they have the cover of Bane with the bat over his knee, but then like I thought maybe there's like a like a deformed Batman torso. No. There's no deformed Batman.
Well, McFarlane does statues now. You're telling me they can't do a statue of the Bane breaking moment?
Oh, I would pay good money for that.
Oh, yes. Or a Bane hot toy so I can snap my Ben Affleck on there.
and then you could have Batman and Wonder Woman just holding each other and pointing it at.
And then I could have Nick not in this stream because Wonder Bat doesn't work according to Zack Snyder.
I just did a Super Wonder thing. I said Superman and Wonder Woman pointing.
No, you said Batman.
Freudian slip.
That's
right. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and Nightfall is one of those like really nuts storylines. So it's like, okay, I like that. Me personally was a Snyder cut, dude. Snyder cut got announced, and then the kingdom started to be formed. So I was
is that yours?
You mean the only cut?
Yeah,
the only cut.
Well, yeah, the only cut of Justice League that existed. It got announced because I walk into my dentist's office. It hadn't been announced yet. It was that day. I walk out. I'm going through Facebook. And then all of a sudden I see that Dr. Ian Malcolm meme that's like that SOB did it. So I'm like, wait, he did what? I scroll up and it's the black and white Wonder Woman poster and just says Zack Snyder's Justice League HBO Max. And I was like, wait, what? And then there was that fear. I was sitting down to watch the movie a year later and I was like, please don't suck. Please don't suck. Because this would really be annoying if it sucked. Spoiler alert, it didn't suck.
It delivered.
Well,
it very much didn't suck.
I guess you could say now that both Screen Actors Guild and the writers are on strike, Warner Brothers will have to use the old ways.
Yes. Well, no, that's an interesting question because here's the thing. Warner is setting on a bunch of director's cuts, two specifically that we all want to see, and they need content. They don't have the money for they can't do actors and they can't do writers. As far as I know, the Schumacher cut is done, and Ayer actually said it doesn't require any reshoots. So it's like, just dump them on Max. You're done.
Ready the Armada.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And by Armada, I mean editors.
Hey,
true.
Zach's got some good ones on the side. So.
Then we'll find out the Editors Guild is going on strike as well. And I'm like, no, stop going on strike.
What happens is like the parts of WB here, like they're about to recut the Ayer cut. Like, okay, we need to force the Editors Guild to go on strike so we have an excuse not to release it.
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, did you guys see that the Max YouTube channel deleted the first trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Is that true? Like I saw.
Yes, I looked it up. It is gone.
Sus. That is sus.
Because here's the thing. It was here's my tin hat theory on why that happened. It was the highest viewed video on that channel to this day.
And Warner Brothers
million views.
And Warner Brothers is nothing if not petty.
Or they could be getting a jump because they're negotiating to move it over.
Ooh, that could be interesting. Sell is inevitable now, according to Sin Haven. Honestly, the more evidence I see, the more I'm like, yeah, I think it's more likely than people think because it's like they're licensing a butt ton of like exclusive content from HBO to Netflix of all places. So I'm like,
and all it will take is for literally the Snyder Cut to go to Netflix. Not like new movies, just the Snyder Cut being on Netflix, which that is totally possible. Like
it is in other countries, but it is.
No, but like just putting it on Netflix, even in America, that could totally happen. Like that is 100% possible. And then just imagine the numbers it does on Netflix. Like it's gonna do numbers.
Heck, it crashed HBO Max's servers when it first came out.
And I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of people who discover that the movie exists that just don't know. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Just because Netflix is the #1 streaming service by a very large margin.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, by the way, the Snyder Cut is what got my mom interested in DC of all places.
Really?
And she got me into Zack Snyder because I remember she's the one that first showed me 300. So I was like, yes,
best mom ever.
As soon as I saw his name pop up in Man of Steel, I was like, oh, this is gonna be badass. It was.
Can we highlight Ian's comment, please?
Which one? Oh, the Snyder Cut gets Netflix out of bankruptcy. Watch, they announced that, and so many people get Netflix subscriptions.
So what happens is like the Snyder Cut comes to Netflix, and obviously it's the #1 streaming. But like the numbers are so huge, the execs they go to Snyder and like that one meme was like, hey Snyder, you got any more of those cuts? In between like cocaine.
And then Snyder's like, Snyder tells him the same thing he told to the Netflix guy for Rebel Moon. I have 2 cuts. He's got 2, and apparently there's a 3rd Rebel Moon movie.
No. It's not. Snyder says it depends. How many dump trucks full of cash are you offering me?
And then Tevia, it's going to affect animation and because no one can write and no one can act. Everything in Hollywood went to a screeching halt.
Well, animation is a separate, and a lot of animation is non-union. So, and the thing is, like, voice acting is union, but there's also, you have, like, in Canada, you have access to non-union voice actors. So animation can kind of work.
But directors, though,
are animation directors
or
different?
Like a director.
So I know the director actually settled. That's why Christopher Nolan. So I don't know if y'all know, but Oppenheimer's premiere in the UK was today. So Olivia Blunt, Matt Damon, Cillian Murphy, they were all there, but on the red carpet. And then it got announced that the strike was happening, and they all left. So there's a tweet of Christopher Nolan introducing the movie and was like, "Yeah, sorry, just so you know, the stars were here, but now they are trying to fight for equal wages for everyone in Hollywood."
I want to see the video of, like, they're all on the red carpet doing their thing, and all of a sudden the strike got announced, and they all just, like, hightail it out of there.
Quick, to the Batmobile! Tumblr shows up because it's a Nolan movie.
Yeah, that's where your drop comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, actually, I do have that.
That's my Batman.
There you go. I had to. And Tevia, what about Beyond the Spider-Verse? In terms of writers, probably it will be affected. Unless they've written it already, it probably will be affected.
Yeah.
And I think that's even like, because some scripts, get written on set, like rewritten.
So and also they already announced the delay of Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like, they already pushed it off by a few years to allow the more time to work, because, like, there's this big controversy for Cross Spider-Verse, because, like, they were crunching like crazy for that movie, and they it already got delayed, so it's probably going to get delayed even more. So don't expect Beyond the Spider-Verse till 2030, guys.
And by the way, real quick, Daniel has a question. Opinions, this is off topic, but I just wanted to address this. Opinions on the Wolverine suit in Deadpool 3, because that gave me nerds.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that picture, all of a sudden in my head, I was like, da-na-na-na-na-na. Yes.
It's amazing.
Like, I know some people are getting upset over sleeves, but I don't really mind it too much.
Well, Hugh Jackman's also susceptible to skin cancer. That's why they have the sleeves. So I'm like,
also, the other thing is,
fine.
Here's the other thing, which is probably the more likely reason. Because he has sleeves, he doesn't need to bulk up as much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Like there's a reason why he's in full coverage. Like, I think the costume is more of so he doesn't have to get shredded. Because you got to remember, this guy is I don't know what, he's pushing 50. Sure, he's in really great shape, but, like, it's really hard to get into, like, that kind of Wolverine suit. Like, could he have done it? Yeah, probably. But I think one of the things, like, the convincing factors was the fact that he didn't have to get in, like, that good of a shape.
Now,
and there's a picture of him, like, sweating his ass off with a little fan. So let's all be grateful that the man is just suiting up for us one more time for this movie.
And he's
not suiting up at all.
That he's suiting up in the yellow suit.
In the yellow suit. Like, that's
what you guys actually go outside in these things?
What do you expect? Yellow spandex?
Yes, actually.
I got it. So Zeke asked a very good question, gentlemen. Could Netflix get the SnyderVerse?
It's looking more possible by the day.
Josh, you wanna answer this fine gentleman's question?
I mean, I don't know anything. I'm a nobody. I'm extremely excited to be here and be welcomed. But I just, as a fan, like, honestly, like, looking at the big picture. So I don't know if y'all know this, but I went to Full Circle. Yeah. And when I was in LA, I decided, like, I don't know if this strike is going to happen. So I told a buddy of mine who was in New York. He lives in New York City. And I said, hey, this is what's happening. And he was kind of skeptical. He's like, okay, well, I don't have a ticket to Full Circle, but I'm going to go to LA with you. And let's, like, do Hollywood tours. So we went to the WB tour and Sony. And he didn't go to Sony, but I did. And when I was there, of course, the topic of discussion with our tour guides was the writer's strike. And basically everybody was just talking about it. And basically this was back in April. At the end of April, literally Zack Snyder planned this right before May 1st, y'all. Because I don't know if anyone's watched his panels. He basically let everyone know this is why Full Circle is happening at the end of April. He did it strategically right before the writer's strike because he knew this was coming. These people talk to each other, and so let's be honest. Hollywood is shut down right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So SnyderVerse scripts, from what I understand, are completely done.
Yeah.
The
There's
Batman's certainly done. And at least with Justice League, it's outlined. So he knows what has to happen in each movie.
Yeah.
Plus, here's the thing: the directors are not on strike. Are they on director on strike?
No, because they settled. Like I said, they actually. So basically, what I heard had happened. Originally, May 1st was supposed to be writers, and then June was geared up for actors supposed to strike. But the directors threw a wrench, and they settled. Directors actually settled because they negotiated with the studios, apparently. So that's why you had Christopher Nolan standing up there by himself to now, like, okay, because obviously directors can and want to still promote their movies. So as far as like Comic-Con and stuff, like I'm going to San Diego, so you could have directors show up, but as far as actors, it's kind of essentially going to be frowned upon if any actor shows up to promote.
Yeah, that's probably why like all the studios were pulling out like all out of Comic-Con, because like they knew this was coming.
And Bat Dan asked, what about directors who are also writers? How does that work?
So Jimmy Gunn, I think, is one of those, and also an executive. So I don't know, but
I know he
maybe they can direct, but they can't do anything in like a writing capacity.
As far as I know, yeah, because even like Deadpool, we might need to be looking at Deadpool very cautiously, because I heard the reason why all those set photos, they got to jump on it, was because they knew this was coming.
And they wanted to kind of at least get some hype going for it, you know, and I think they did their job.
Yeah. It worked.
Yeah, the improv part is what's the bread and butter of those movies, right? And apparently Ryan Reynolds can't do that now. Well, he's not supposed to be doing that, writing on set. So we'll see. I don't know, but
well, the actor's on strike, so that doesn't matter anymore anyway.
So then, do you think these strikes will make any significant changes
in quality? Yeah, I mean, we got to be really ready for, you know, this. I don't know if anyone remembers the 2008 strike, writer strike.
I do.
I was about to say, isn't that the one with like Justice League Mortal?
That killed Justice League Mortal. Lost was affected by that.
Transformers 2 was affected by that.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of TV shows, because I was big into like watching a lot of TV shows. I remember one TV show that I really enjoyed, the Bionic Woman reboot. I actually have it on DVD on my shelf, and that would have at least gotten a full season if not for the writer's strike, because it was getting better. Yeah, Big Bang Theory actually premiered that year. That somehow survived the writer's strike. But like a lot of really good shows got killed that year. Heroes is a great example of the writer's strike.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace, I think, was written by like Daniel Craig on set because.
Yeah. Quantum of Solace was definitely a movie that was affected. I think Battlestar Galactica proper was affected by it. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, like pretty much everything around that time, like 2008, even in 2009, was really affected by it.
And everything that's in production, we really have to be worried now.
Yeah, exactly. As Dave says, we're probably going to see a lot of canceled films. I wonder if the studios are going to use this as an excuse to like clean the slate of stuff, like Marvel or DC.
I guarantee you, because I really feel like Hollywood has kind of been heading towards like this reckoning for at least 5 years. Like they've been continuing to make films that like no one wants. And now we're getting to the point where like these people are just like not even showing up to films. Like they try to blame it on like superhero fatigue, or just like, oh, people don't want to go to the movie theaters anymore. But like the second you get a movie that like people want to see, all of a sudden it's like $1 billion big hit, you know.
And by the way,
across the SnyderVerse, while it didn't make $1 billion, it still did really good. You know, Oppenheimer is getting excitement.
And Nick brought this up last show we did. It's like, okay, so wait a second. So if superhero fatigue is real, how do you get the internet response to the Wolverine suit?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. It's just that the one good thing that James Gunn said is that it's just bad movie fatigue and people don't want to see the same story over and over again.
And look at how they literally
from Superman Legacy.
They literally killed any momentum Blue Beetle had with one friggin' line.
Yeah.
That means it's fascist. Like literally, that one line killed the entire movie.
There's a lot that killed that movie, but that's besides the.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't look too bad, but like, Blue. But the problem is, Blue Beetle is he's a third string character at best, you know, especially that version, and like normies don't know who he is. Even the people who plugged in kind of know who he is, so he's a really hard sell even in the best of times. You know, but like it looks like a decent enough movie. Like if this movie came out in 2018, it probably would have done $800 million easily. But because it's now and like they just so hell bent on just inserting everything, people just don't care.
And Tevia asks, "How will this?" He's basically asking if this will kill James Gunn's universe. Now, here's the thing. It could, because Justice League Mortal is the example I'm going on, and that was farther in development when that got canned.
Well, and then you got to think about, he's mapping out a universe, right? Mm-hmm. A DCU. So if he supports this, like he says he does, he can't do anything. Mm-hmm. He can't work with any director to talk about how any connection, you know, James Mangold is supposed to be doing Swamp Thing, apparently. Andy Muschietti, we'll see. I do think that was posturing for the Flash box office numbers, because it happens all the time. Studios,
now that the Flash is a certified disaster, I guarantee you, Muschietti will not be doing Bring the Bull.
It's actually the biggest flop in Warner Brothers history, not DC film, Warner Brothers history.
Yeah, Andy will not be welcome on the Warner Brothers set, but you know, and if he is, they're bigger morons than I thought.
But the question is, how much of the Flash's failure is Andy's fault, as opposed to like the fact that this movie's been in development hell for 10 for.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know. It's just when Andy tried to be like, oh, that bad CGI, it's intentional. I just like, I'm sorry, but like, there's spin. And they're just being really dumb.
Well, you got to remember too, like the VFX houses have been overworked ever since before COVID.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like I've heard y'all talking about this before on the stream, and I kind of like, I do think, like you're saying, it was just a cover up, because I'm sure they were trying to do all these reshoots and the budget was just skyrocketing. They were just like, we can't afford to finish the VFX. Just say it's supposed to look like that. Go.
Yeah, and yeah, that wouldn't be a good look either. But at least be honest. Like I
didn't mind it, but I see why. Because here's what I think. I think it's supposed to look like a mushroom trip, because it's mentioned by one of the Barry too.
Here's the question, though, Josh, going back to what you were saying, is that maybe it was supposed to look better, but with the skyrocketing like budget, they had to say, okay, so stop it here.
Because there's that first shot when you first see the Chrono Ball of Iris, and she looks exactly like Iris. If you think about it, I don't know if y'all watched the film multiple times, but I did. She looked like a person. But then right after that scene, then you start seeing how Batfleck throwing the Batarang and Henry Cavill, and they don't look as real. So I think they basically did the CinemaCon cut, and then the reshoots started happening, skyrocketed budget, bringing in Clooney and bringing in Jason Momoa and all this. And then they were just like, okay, don't finish the VFX because all the budget's going to these reshoots.
I mean, yeah, I could totally see that happening. Like I'm not even debating that. It's just like it's supposed to look that way. That's kind of the thing that I'm stuck on.
The good part.
Like, we're gonna agree to disagree on that one. I feel my way. You can feel whatever, but you know it is.
The best part of the Flash is that it effectively decanonized the Whedon cut of Justice League, because there's no people. Even we were like earlier in the channel's history, we were like, they're gonna keep it general. When they reference the Flash going back in time, Iris knowing Barry, and you see Momoa pointing at Barry in the Chrono Ball, I'm like, there's only one version where all three of those things happen.
I said on May 22nd, as soon as I got out of my theater, that it was 100% canon to SnyderVerse, and I was dogpiled on Twitter.
I saw that.
Nobody believed me. And even in Facebook groups, I posted it everywhere in Restore the SnyderVerse Facebook groups, SnyderVerse, and they were all coming at me, threatening to ban me because I was making up fake news. And I was like, you know what? Wait, You just wait until the movie comes out, and then none of them have said nothing to me. So you know what?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even
That's
Sil was like, yeah, it's canon to the Snyder cut.
So I have all those tweets. They are
It's canon, beaches.
Yeah. And then Bat Dad Dan says also English is not Andy's first language. He might not have meant it exactly like that. It's true. Warner Brothers
hopefully.
Warner Brothers is $50 billion in debt and 68% of chance of going bankrupt. How would James Gunn make Superman be pissing off Snyder fans? Well, also, here's the thing. I love how Warner Bros. Is this far in debt, and people think that James Gunn is going to be able to make all of these films. I'm like, also, there's no way you're doing this.
While we're on the topic of like Superman Legacy, I gotta bring this up, but like, you know how like everyone was dogging Snyder for putting like Wonder Woman and BVS, and like you're putting too many characters in a film. Meanwhile, Gunn's like, oh, we just announced Morpho, we just announced Guy Gardner, like he's announcing like basically he's making a Justice League film, and everyone's just like trained seals like you know, like.
And Gunn's excuse was, okay, so I want to show all aspects of the character. So we see his life as Clark. How else would I show his life as Superman without showing his Justice League coworkers? And I'm like, well, if you actually applied yourself, I'm sure you could figure out a way if you're this great writer.
You can tell Gunn does not know how to write like single character. He only knows how to write ensembles. It is showing so hard.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to make this movie. And I guarantee you, the Justice League characters that are announced, how he announced Plastic Man. I'm fairly certain that he's trying to make it an ensemble movie because he knows he can only write ensemble movies.
Like if you had James Gunn do a Justice League, it may not be everyone's taste, but I'm sure it'd be okay at least.
No. Everyone will be. If you thought the Whedon cut was crude, oh geez.
After the Suicide Squad, that's where that will be probably the last movie I ever pay of James Gunn's to see. Like I was just like, as a comic book fan and somebody who's read DC comics, and I'm so happy that you guys know comics.
Thank
you. For him to like treat characters, especially Amanda Waller, the way he did, I was just like, I still regret paying my IMAX $15, and I still want a refund for
the thing that I don't get is like everyone was like singing the praises of like Peacemaker, and I just watched clips of it, and it's like. It looks like a 12-year-old wrote these scripts.
And Warner Brothers inflated that script. And by the way, did you know that, say what you want about Suicide Squad failing because of COVID, it also got, I think, the same cinema score as The Flash.
And it got an Oscar.
Which I heard... No, I'm talking about the James Gunn Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. We're not talking about the Superior Suicide Squad.
No, the Superior... Here's the thing. Studio Squad is actually not a bad movie.
I agree.
It's actually enjoyable. I still want to see the Ayer cut, obviously, because it actually fulfills on the promise of the Joker.
Well, here's the thing. Like if you watch the Snyder cut,
nice.
See, the thing that actually like gave me a little more respect for Leto is I saw him like his like short appearance at the end of the Zack Snyder Justice League. And he was actually a really dang good Joker in that. Like he was menacing, he was creepy, he was unsettling. And if we could get that as like an actual Joker in a Batman movie, like I want that, please.
And he was
contraire, my little fish stick.
My family watched the Snyder cut, and his scene, like they had no idea he was going to show up. They kind of knew because in the past I had like told them like years ago, you know. But then they watched it right before The Flash because I told them I wanted to go take him for my birthday, but they had to watch the actual movie that was a sequel to, which was Snyder Cut, not Justice League. And they were like freaking out when they heard his laugh and dying laughing at his jokes. So I want to see
that was actually really fun. And you know what's kind of funny? Even though we haven't seen them interact, the way Batfleck and Leto played off each other, you felt like you could feel the history between those two characters. It's almost like Snyder's the superior writer when it comes to
you know what the biggest
what
to cast a woman from Sucker Punch as Catwoman, you know, like the instructor.
Carla,
she was Silk Spectre 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. like,
Oh yes,
I'm sorry, but as Ben Affleck's Catwoman, she's she's just so perfect. It's astounding.
Zach said that would be Zach actually named her. He said, "Yeah, she would be my pick for Catwoman." And I'm like,
sorry,
"Thank you."
That would be like, especially like Ben Affleck's version, like a little bit older. Oh my god! Sorry.
And apparently, according to Zach, the way the story was going to be is that Batman and Catwoman are actually married. So,
Oh, really?
Or
they're
I
either
would have had them
married
be like,
or they're either married or they're ex-husband and wife. But they do have the relationship. Like,
That would be
okay. I want, if you can indulge me for a moment. What I would do is I'd have them be like ex-married, and they'd have a daughter together named Helena Kyle.
there you go. There you go. And
Then
she becomes Huntress.
Batfleck would have to die. Batfleck would have to die there. Well, I guess he's supposed
Well,
to
he
die.
does. So
Basically, they have a 15-year-old daughter named Helena Kyle.
That would, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it.
I wouldn't be mad at all because first off, it's Batfleck, and second off, it's Batfleck and honestly the best non-cast cast for Catwoman. Honestly, because I could totally see Georgina doing really well as Selena Kyle.
But then you got to have Cyborg like showing up in a scene and being like, Selena Kyle, you kind of sound like that ship that Superman was talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where have I heard that voice before?
I heard that in my head.
Okay.
No. Cyborg goes to her and goes, "Say the future is taking root in the present."
This course is irreversible.
Okay. Actually, we haven't done this kind of casting. Like, what Watchmen actors would you cast in the Snyder? We know Mr. Dr. Manhattan is Barry's dad, so that's taken.
And we know
Night Owl.
Night Owl is Orm. So there you go.
Oh
So
yeah, I forgot about that.
Silk Spectre would be one, right?
Well, Silk Spectre 1 is Catwoman.
Right.
Rorschach, I would cast as maybe Mad Hatter.
And we all know that the comedian is Thomas Wayne. So
yeah, and we could have gotten him as Flashpoint Batman, which that's a robbery right there.
No. What if the actor for Rorschach, we just make him the Question?
Honestly, that would work.
That's easy. That's easy. That's low hanging fruit.
What about Ozymandias as Brainiac?
Oh, that's actually not bad.
I know it's supposed to be Daniel Craig was rumored, but that's the first thing. Ozymandias was the first.
No. I want Nicolas Cage as Brainiac.
So we were casting Damian Wayne, and our cast was the kid from Young Sheldon.
Okay.
Because if you've seen him, he's basically Damian Wayne in that show.
I'm looking at. I have the dark death metal Robin, Jokerized Robins right now, so I'm kind of looking at them. So it's kind of.
Oh my God, Peter Dinklage is Dr. Psycho.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Keanu or Constantine. Yeah, and Peter Dinklage is Dr. Psycho. That could work. How will this strike affect the Marvel universe? Well, a lot of Marvel movies are going to get the axe. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I heard they were all being rewritten. Everything in production. Everything.
Well, it's clear based off of how like they're talking that like behind like you got to imagine however bad they talk about it in public, behind the scenes it has to be at least 10 times worse. The fact that you had like Bob Iger come out and saying, yeah, a lot of these films weren't good, we need to reorganize things, and they're delaying everything, and we oversaturated
the market is basically what he said.
The fact they fired Victoria Alonso
and actually fired her. They didn't say like, oh, she's going off to better things. No, she's fired.
Yeah.
That never happened.
And as much as we think Kathleen Kennedy should be fired, I'm not even sure like the Fairly 75 could do it. We all know she's gonna like retire, leave. Oh, she's retiring, blah blah blah. She's not gonna get fired.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what Feige, because I had heard last that I had heard is like Feige is kind of like being eyed and pressure is being put on him. Like, hey, now that Victoria's out of the way, like if there's not results, it's on you.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Kevin. Like, Kevin Feige is in a really good position because he has the ultimate clout. Okay, like if he leaves Disney, he will have 50 offers literally within 5 minutes of leaving the Disney.
They hire him to replace James Gunn as the head of creative for DC Studios.
Oh, Warner Bros.
They
would
said
love
they
to
wanted
do
to
that.
hire Kevin Feige. They just happened to be able to hire the Kevin Feige.
And he's
Like,
been
that's-
apparently toying with the idea, like
Mhm.
when things weren't working at Disney for him. So
And Disney knows because like Feige, like for example, he can just say, oh, the recent ones. Oh, I took a step back, and that was Victoria Alonso's fault. She was the fall person for that, and so Kevin Feige's reputation remains untouched. You know,
Yeah.
So like he could leave, and he'll, like I said, he like, and Disney knows this, like, and like Kevin Feige knows this, which is why.
And Jared, do you think that Keanu Reeves might play Batman? I'd rather have him play Constantine, but if he had to play Batman, I think he'd be pretty decent now. He's basically John Wick.
I like Keanu Reeves, but I don't think he is like. But Batman needs to talk more.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Batman brings up a really good point. How about the executives just skip the stupid part and just work with the writers and the actors?
And apparently they have just no intention of like negotiating, because I saw a tweet right before jumping on that they were trying to negotiate with some actors, like, oh, let's just, you know what I think, guys? Like, I'll be honest, I don't think anybody's brought this up, and I really do think.
Okay.
So the tweet said that they were trying to get actors to scan them, their full body, so that they could use their
likenesses.
I think Sil Abdul retweeted this, and that they could use their likeness forever. I thought about it. I was like, what if the industry was against the Flash because they used AI in the Chrono Ball scenes?
Well, it's obvious that like everyone in the Hollywood is scared to death of AI, and rightly so, because like one of the sticking points for the Writers Guild is no AI scripts. They don't like the idea of like scanning actors and using them, so no actor is going to willingly go along with that. Like maybe as a retirement plan, because remember what Bruce Willis said, he sold his likeness to a Chinese company. I could see actors who are like at the end of their career and they want like a big, like they sell, like, you know, like let's say Ian McKellen basically sells his likeness to Fox or Disney or whatever, and you know that kind of thing. When he retires, I could see that happening. But like every other actor, they would never do, because it goes against their self-interest. It goes against then they'd never get another job again.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and it's just speaking of bleeding the writers dry. I think so. Someone said this. Oh yes, in Havoc, because they said that an industry insider apparently told one of the trades that the goal is we make this last long enough so they have to eventually start paying their bills and stuff. So literally, they bleed them dry.
Don't they? I mean, they do realize that most of them probably have side hustles during this, and they were getting paid so little that like they're probably getting paid more working at Walmart than they are on these writing gigs.
Well, and I'm sure the studios also, in their minds, they're probably still working on their slate and backlog since COVID. Like we got to remember, everyone, like the quality of all the stuff we're getting is because of the COVID shutdowns, right? So I forgave a lot of like what happened with Marvel in the last few films. Like, you know, I really liked Multiverse of Madness. I know some people.
I enjoyed it,
but I forgave it a lot, and I forgave like WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, because they were all kind of written during that weird time, right, where things weren't really operating. And so with DC, you know, they don't have anything in 2024 or whatnot. So, but there's other movies that they pushed back because they were trying to get these blockbusters, 4 blockbusters in a year, and now we've seen what's happening to them. So.
Well, Oppenheimer is going to be a hit for him. We know that much.
Oppenheimer is going to be a bomb, but in a
good way.
That's Universal, actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
but you see, yeah, that's Universal, because Warner Brothers screwed with Christopher Nolan with Tenet.
Okay, who is doing Barbie?
They're going to win with Barbie.
So Warner's is doing Barbie.
Yeah, and that's going to be number 1.
But what's interesting is, like, by the way, we do have one good movie coming out at the end of the year, Rebel Moon.
I just love that like Barbie and Oppenheimer are coming out on the same day. It's like, all right, so the all like the you know the guys can go see Oppenheimer and all their girlfriends in the next theater can go see Barbie. Everyone wins.
We're gonna go see a nuclear bomb. You go see your doll movie.
For me, I'm like freaking out because they're both during Comic-Con and I'll be in San Diego.
Oh,
So I have I go to advanced screening, so I have tickets to see Oppenheimer the day before I leave to San Diego, luckily. So I'm gonna see that for sure. I don't know when I'll see Barbie, but we'll see, because a lot of the crowd that goes to Comic-Con usually go to these type of movies, so I'm wondering if I'm sure the box office would be fine, but it's just a weird release date in my opinion that you would do it, because I'm sure they were planning on promoting ththese movies at Comic-Con possibly, because there's even like a Barbie unofficial event that I have tickets to on Wednesday when I get in. But it's just going to be interesting how things move forward in Hollywood now that this strike is official.
Yeah, and the other thing to touch upon, like you're talking about the pandemic. See, we're kind of entering an era where like the pandemic excuse doesn't really hold as much weight as it used to, because like I think we can agree the pandemic was like 2020 to like maybe 2022. It's 2023.
Mid 2022 is when I think it officially like stopped, and now we're back.
So roughly at least a year out from the pandemic. And it's like, and as time goes on, it's like, yeah, the pandemic isn't really as much of a thing anymore. You don't really have that as much of an excuse. So so you had a lot of things that were covered because, the movie bombed because pandemic, and everyone was saying that, not just the movies.
Someone tried to tell me that when I brought about Birds of Prey bomb, they were like, "Oh, that was because of the pandemic." I'm like, it came out before anything happened, so you can't use that excuse. But going back to what you said earlier about like everything about these guys, about like Zack Snyder knowing this was going to happen before him and all stuff, and about how like everyone knows it's going to happen really before. Is it kind of interesting how not only how before all the strikes and stuff goes down, that's when we get the Schumacher cut being given to Kevin Smith?
Yeah, like that tells me so much. The fact that like Warner Brothers is comfortable giving it to him on like a flash drive, that tells me it's farther along than they're letting on. And I think it's very strategic giving Kevin Smith, because like they know he's going to talk about it. And like Kevin Smith is basically Hollywood's mouthpiece for nerds. Like I think it's very clear that like they use Kevin Smith as like the bridge between like the nerds and Hollywood. So giving him it there was very strategic.
I was so mad because I was in New York City, but then he announced it like for the next weekend after.
Oh no!
Back home. So I was looking for flights with my friend. I was like, "Hey, I might be coming back next weekend." And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to Toronto for 4th of July." And I'm like, "No!" So, but I tried to get tickets to it. But yeah, I think these studios, like I was saying, like Warner Brothers particularly, they're like, guys, like I'm pretty sure that the chances of air cut just really shot up for us.
Oh, I was saying this before. I was like, if the Actors Guild goes into strike, yeah, the air cut, they're gonna have to do the air cut because they need content, because they can't make anything else right now.
I think they're gonna do the Schumacher cut first, because that's like that requires less. It's pretty much already done. And then they're gonna get that and use. I mean, it's test the waters. I will be buying the Blu-ray. And
hell yeah!
Oh, Dave the Impaler.
Did Kevin Smith cry at the screening?
Probably.
Okay,
you know what? Alone. Leave Kevin alone.
All right, real quick. That deserves this.
There you go. I love that.
He either cried or he used his good old trusty bottle of Visine.
And he's not doing his usual panel, which breaks my heart. At Comic-Con, he always ends after Marvel does their big panel. He does like a whole like 2-hour long Q&A or just talks basically, and he's not doing it. He's showing up on Thursday and doing a movies like activation with Jason Mewes and he's doing Batman Beyond on Thursday. But it's just weird because I think he's kind of like, he's a writer, obviously. So he's kind of like, all right, well, I won't do my Comic-Con panel because I'm supporting the writers. So
just it's just sad.
Yeah.
But so it is interesting because I agree with you, Nick. I think the Schumacher cut is first. Then they're gonna, if nothing opens up in terms of if the strikes aren't resolved, they're gonna call up Ayer and say, "Hey, dude, how much will we have to pay to come back and finish this and put it up?"
I do have one more hashtag I want to join this, and this is for the recent Flash movie. Hashtag release the Gustin cut.
Is that for sure? How
was
no, that was
okay.
A joke.
Okay, I was
that would have
say
been better though if they actually had Grant Gustin show up in the movie and be the second Barry, because remember they met in Crisis.
Remember the thing that I was saying? I almost called you Barry. Frick. But like I always said, like the ending would be like Barry wakes up and he goes into a mirror. He looks in the mirror and he has Grant Gustin's face instead of Ezra Miller's.
By the way, did you guys know that there's a podcast, a Flash podcast out right now? It's like an audio drama that's a sequel to the Flash.
So the show?
Yeah,
The TV
no, sequel to the movie.
Really?
Is it a canon? Is it official?
Yeah.
I saw that there was a podcast, but I didn't know it was a sequel to the
As
movie.
far as I know, it is canon to the Flash, I believe.
Yeah, it's called The Fastest Man Alive, right? Or something like that.
No, that's the comic. It's called all right, hang on. It's called Escape the Midnight Circus.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe it is canon to the Flash. Is the Flash podcast canon to the movie? I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere there, because if you look at behind the scenes, behind the scenes of it, and the voice actor for Barry, like doing his lines, he sounds like the Ezra Miller Barry.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
They've been doing a lot of those. Like I know about Batman, the podcast adventures or whatever, and they did a comic about that, which I got but I never listened to the audio drama on HBO Max. But of course, I had just.
And by the way, yes, it's confirmed. It is canon to the movie.
Wow. Okay. Well,
that was a waste of money.
well, do they explore how Barry gets out of the Clooneyverse?
I have no idea. And then Brown Destroyer says, I know some people might hate it, but I actually love the Flash episode with Supergirl and Flash at a dance number. Nope. I skipped that part. I skipped the dance number.
That's the singing one, right?
Yeah, because I can't stand musicals. That's just me. I just find them annoying a little bit.
Well, there goes my hopes of having us cover Repo Genetic Opera on movie night.
No.
Remember, everyone, Zydrate comes from Little Glass Vial.
Yeah, and by the way, Dave the Impaler agrees with the only amount of time until we get to as a fan edit that deep fakes Grant Gustin onto Barry Allen.
I will download that fan cut. I will download that. That will be the version I watch.
Did y'all finish The Flash?
The show? No.
Yeah. Okay. I've made it like halfway through the season, and what they did with Red Death, I was just like so put off by. I was just like, I can't. So I stopped.
Because I'm like, you're telling me you had the potential to bring in Red Death, who is Batman and the Flash merge, and you use it to resurrect arguably one of the biggest mistakes the CW has ever made. Wow. Jared, will you not watch Joker 2 then? I'll watch Joker 2. I don't know.
But it's
yeah, it's a musical. Is the
the
whole movie a musical, though?
I will say this. The fact they're going in musical direction and hiring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, I think that's a good move. You know?
Yeah.
With the I think first off, I think Lady Gaga, even just like acting wise alone, could probably do a pretty good Harley Quinn. But like, you know, like the fact that it has musical in it, I think that's good call.
It's basically her way to get an Oscar, like just like Joaquin's. Like he wouldn't have done it probably.
Did she win any Oscars for A Star Is Born? Because I know that was pretty critically acclaimed.
Guess who's a producer on Joker?
Who?
Bradley Cooper.
Oh, really?
This is all just. I'll be honest. I do not like the Joker. I do not like Joker.
So what you're saying is, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper are banging.
They're just. It's just actor helping out another actor. It's all just Oscar bait.
By the way, I
I'm
just
sure
wanted
they're
to bring
helping
up
each other
this. Apparently, James Gunn has confirmed that Emilia Harcourt won't appear in Superman Legacy.
Lies.
We'll see if he changes his mind again.
Lies.
Just watch in 5
Why?
minutes. He'll tweet that like actually no, that was actually a misprint. You know, Actually, did you hear that Grace Randolph was the one who reported it? So that's a lie.
Well, did you see? I shared the chat, and it's like it's James Gunn's new Justice League, but it's hardcore. But she's Cyborg, she's Aquaman, she's Superman. It's like all of the roles are just hardcore.
See, here's how I feel, and I feel like my opinion about the share is probably a common one. Like most people probably share this opinion, is that like I wouldn't mind like a full reboot, like if James Gunn did like just wipe the board slate clean and started fresh, like a full reboot, nobody returning. But the fact is, like, oh, Hardcore am I returning, Peacemaker, like bits and pieces are returning. It's like.
Not fair. Let's face it, because you told me that the universe didn't work. Okay, fine. We can disagree on that, or disagree who is to blame for that. But you're telling me that you're going to bring back all of your people above, like, and by the way, so Superman. How will Superman Legacy perform at the box office? That is a good question, because here's the thing, and I've said this with Man of Steel. And I've taken heat from this by classic Superman fans. But if you ever want to have a fun experience, piss off Superman purists on Twitter. It is a fun experience. Wait, Nick. I first encountered this group when I published a video saying Lois Lane was worthless. And then they came after me. But anyway.
Here's what Gunn should have done, okay? You had Flashpoint, which is like your golden opportunity. Is what you do is you have Barry, and then you have Wally. And the Wally is going to be the Flash of the new multiverse. So you do this whole movie with this character, and then at the end, you basically have the Crisis on Infinite Earth Flash ending where he uses a cosmic treadmill to save the multiverse. Okay. And or it's both Wally and Flash, and then the lightning bolt is the one that strikes that actor. Because I'm combining Christ on Earth a little bit for this. But like, hey, I want to finish, please. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And then the multiverse is restarted. Bam, new universe. You do whatever you want. You just set it up perfectly.
Yeah, but Fire's not being lazy, Nick, and this is Warner Brothers we're talking about. But what I was saying is that in terms of, because here's the thing, and Bad Sam brings up a good point. What I've said is that Superman was mostly irrelevant pre-Snyder. Now, what I mean by that, he's still iconic. People still know what the S means and everything like that. But when everyone thought of Superman, they kind of laughed. Like, oh, the dude that wears the underwear on the outside of his pants, the guy who saves cats from trees.
Superman is basically the character that everyone knows who he is, but very few people actually care about. Like, everyone knows the name Superman. Everyone knows, like, the thing. Like Shaquille O'Neal got the Superman shield tattooed on his arm, for crying out loud. Yeah. And that is about as mainstream as you can get. Like, one of the biggest basketball players ever.
Superman.
And yeah, like that's an iconic image. And, like, there's a reason why, like Superman may be more iconic, but Batman sells more comics.
Yeah. So the darker and more gritty character sells more. I wonder if the audience is giving us a hint on what actually sells. But that's what the thing is that with Snyder, see, here's the thing, and Brownish brings a good point. He was the most comics accurate Superman, but the most post-crisis new 52 Superman, because what that did, it put Superman in real situations. Instead of like pulling a solar system on the chain, he was dealing with people not trusting him, which, let's be honest, Josh, let me ask you a question. If Superman existed, how would the people react to him?
Exactly how you would see in BVS.
Yes.
Because that's literally, like, Snyder was ahead of his time, just like he was with Watchmen. Like, there was an interview I saw with Patrick Wilson basically saying the same thing, and it was like, basically, yeah, that movie was ahead of its time, and that's why it wasn't more successful, is because it was a deconstructionist.
Watchmen is a movie where if it came out like 10 years later in 2019, not changing a goddamn thing, it would have been like, oh my god, this movie is so amazing. It would have made $1 billion, like, easily, and it would be so critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
It was literally 10 years ahead of the head.
Which
ahead
is
of its
hilarious
time.
because whenever a lot of comic book fans, they became Snyder fans because he adapted Watchmen, because that's typically been known as a notoriously hard comic to adapt, and he did it.
That trailer is what made me know the name. I was a fan of 300, and other movies, but that trailer was like, oh, Zack Snyder. That's where I found out the man.
See, the problem with a lot of Snyder haters is they don't watch his movies. And I'm not saying it's like Snyder's got to be like, oh, you got to have a 500 IQ. Like, yeah, his stuff's a little bit smarter, but like, most of the people who are like all against Snyder, and yes, Snyder does have some bad moments, like the tornado, Martha, like, yeah, of course, but like by and large, like anyone who actually there's been like plenty of like videos where like, oh, I've been an MCU fan for like 10 years. They sit down and watch Man of Steel and they're like, wow, this is really good. Oh, by the way, go and watch Man of Steel again. I dare you. And just look at the visual effects. They look better.
Oh my gosh, yes. Wait.
They look like 5 times better than anything coming out today.
Yep.
Like 10 years later.
The number one thing I always watch any reaction to the Snyder Cut. The phrase that I guarantee will be said at the end of the movie is, when are we getting more of this?
Oh, just watch any review of the Snyder Cut. Even the biggest haters of Snyder, even they had to like tepidly make like, yeah, this is better than the other.
Thank you, Bat Dan. Bat Dan's my boy right here. But the thing is, here's the thing. Here's how you know that the general audience and most comic book fans like Snyder. His extended editions, the most Snyder version of the movies, are always the most critically acclaimed versions of these movies.
Yep. I guarantee you, if they had released the ultimate, like the actual cut in theaters, that movie would have made $1 billion.
Hey, y'all, you know that there's been a campaign for release the Snyder Punch, right?
Yeah.
So, the Snyder Punch? What's that?
That's the Snyder Cut of Sucker Punch.
There is a director's cut of it.
There is, but that's not the actual full version that Zach wants.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
There's more Sucker Punch, Nick.
There's more.
I am actually a fan of Sucker Punch. Like, that's like one of those movies that people like deride about Zach. I'm a Sucker Punch defender. So like, you have my attention, good sir.
Yeah, but that's another one you could add to their slate.
Snyder Punch.
So we reacted to Full Circle, all the panels, and one of the funniest parts of when Zach was talking, he goes, "You would think people would realize by now that just watch my director's cuts."
Yeah,
actually, my favorite part was when someone asked if he would adapt
Doomsday Clock,
and he just totally dissed.
The Jeff Johns comic. Nope. My favorite. Yeah. My favorite, and what's up, Steven? My favorite was the internet's reaction to when he said, "Oh yeah, Zeus might have been a Kryptonian," and I'm like, that was an unused idea. Why are you attacking him?
They got so upset over that. Like,
and I'm like, what is it? My favorite, it ruins Wonder Woman's origin. How?
That actually, so my buddy that I took to Full Circle, he was waiting in line with me outside Universal City Walk, and I told him that, and that immediately jogged him to like go home in New York City, and he watched Man of Steel, BVS Ultimate Cut, and Snyder Cut right after that. He was just so blown away by that idea. He's like, Zeus is a Kryptonian? He was like shocked.
Makes sense.
It made sense to him. So
by the way, I have a theory. So remember in the flashback scenes when Zod explained to Superman how they escaped, and he goes to all the outposts, and you see like all the dead Kryptonians holding their rifles. My theory is that the female Furies are also Kryptonians, and that what killed those Kryptonians were Apocalyptians.
I gotta push back a little bit and be like, because basically it's almost like every badass person in the universe is Kryptonian, and I don't know, like I'm not entirely opposed to like the Greek people being Kryptonian. Everyone Kryptonian is just it's a little bit too much for me.
But what I will say, I also have a theory that the Kara that's in the SnyderVerse, the actual classic Kara, she was captured by Apocalypse, and she's actually a female Fury. At least
I can see that, sure.
Because then they're
female Furies, I think.
because then they're referencing that kick-ass animated movie, Superman Batman Apocalypse.
Yep.
So, now just kind of wanting back. Now, when you were talking about the female Furies, were you just like saying like basically the female Furies are made up of people from an outpost, where like Apocalypse's army came and like Big Barda and crew captured them and trained them as female Furies?
Let me explain.
Because that one, that's fine. I can see that.
Because let me explain. Because first off, that happens in apocalyptic history all the time. And my purpose of this theory, because I was rewatching Man of Steel, and I saw, okay, so they never go into how those Kryptonians died, and they died holding their rifles like they were in the middle of a battle. And knowing how Apocalypse was going to factor into that, I was like, well, maybe a few of those were Kryptonians. I'm not saying I'm not saying all the female Furies. I'm just saying the Furies showed up, captured some of the female Kryptonians, and then they were turned into other Furies.
Hey, Jared, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on this. So, like, I remember like reading some people talking and like said Zod had a world engine. Why couldn't he have gone to Mars or like some other planet? Why did he have to terraform Earth? And I'm not trying to like argue with you. I'm just asking your thoughts on this.
Well, because here's simple. It could be because it was the closest to the sun.
Mercury is the closest to the sun. They could have done Venus.
Well, that could have supported life. Because what people don't realize is that, well, he could have still terraformed it. I think it's because there was a
Are you talking about the Goldilocks zone?
Yeah, I think honestly it's because remember the reason why he found was because of Cal activating the Kryptonian ship, and then it sent out a beacon. I think at first he showed up there expecting to find all the Kryptonians. He found Cal and was like, "Oh, I'll take over this area."
So yeah, I think that sounds about right, because he came there because of the signal, and he thought like Cal was like more of a harbinger of things to come or whatever. And then by the time he realized it's like, oh, I'm already here. This thing's already started. You know, I don't like you, so I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to take away what you love.
By the way, Josh, I wanted to get your idea on this. So I was watching the the film junkie a couple of weeks ago, and one of the theories he had was that, so you know how the JLA has their watchtower? He says, so what if when they're building the watchtower, they just take the world engine, repair it, and that becomes the watchtower?
Yeah, I think I was watching that episode too. I'm still behind on a lot of his shows, but I think that's actually not a bad idea, because
it exists.
Still kind of like looks like you could like add on to it, like JLU like version.
And it does have a big gun at the bottom.
Plus all the Kryptonian like shuttles, just rename those to javelins.
There you go.
Like for example, the ship in the Arctic, that's pretty much its Fortress of Solitude.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
It is. It 100% is. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like,
and by the way, Brown, real quick, Brown brings up search Superman Man of Steel 126 to 127. It mentions Rao, the Kryptonian god, fathering all the Earthbound gods. So this is the funny part. There's an Instagram account that I recently started following. I'll give them a shout out right now. It's called SnyderVerse Comics. It's every post is just giving the comic book like background for everything Snyder does. There is so much.
SnyderVerse Comics?
Like you could also I'm just kind of riffing here.
Pull it up. But
you could also say like, what if they are experiments to where Kryptonians got the metagene, to where and like the metagene, like they got powers, like for example, Zeus got like, lightning powers, but they still have like the baseline Kryptonian stuff in addition to like their powers, like that could explain a lot. Like, imagine a Kryptonian with a metagene and various powers like that's
By the way, here is the Instagram account. All they do is they post like all the comic book homages that were in the Snyder cut. The SnyderVerse. There's so much.
I was already following them. I didn't even know.
Yeah, there you go. I love when that happens. I'm like, oh, I'm already following them. Yeah. And also, here's the thing. Zod didn't care, and he's a genocidal maniac, so that's kind of going to explain why he went to the inhabited planet.
I'm going to push back on that portion. He wasn't really a genocidal maniac. It was more just like he had a duty. His duty was to Krypton. Okay. He was a warrior. Better. Obviously he has no problems killing people, but he wasn't doing this. His intention wasn't to kill people. His intention was to rebuild Krypton. If he killed everyone, he didn't care. I'm just arguing intent. You know, like homicidal maniac is he's doing it because he wants to kill people, and that's like the sole reason. You know, his reason was to rebuild Krypton.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure, like after he defeated him, killing Earthlings that he loved, but that's more just vengeance. That's not really homicidal maniac. That's more just like grave bloodlust over vengeance or whatever. So like,
I will say my proudest moment as someone that's trying to show my mom Snyder movies is that we're watching Man of Steel for the first time in like a really long time. There's that shot where Jor-El comes up and you see that big battle going on on Krypton. She's like, "This is so cool."
It is. It's like
it's so
car, like kind of like.
I love your mom. I just want to say.
Snyder said Rebel Moon is going to be that, but on steroids.
I can't.
Please.
I'm like, yeah. And then Tevi asked, "What about Snyder's plans of having Batman and Lois Lane as a couple?" He explained that as, okay, husband goes to war, he dies, the wife moves on, and then the husband actually comes back. That's the idea there.
It was genius in my opinion, because that was literally the drama of World's Finest, the first crossover of Batman.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
And then the animated series. And go back and watch those scenes. Watch that movie. Watch that 3-part series, because the jealousy that Clark Kent has, knowing that Bruce Wayne, Batman, is, you know, doing what Lois on the side is hilarious. And you know that happened. Like, you know that it wasn't platonic at all. So...
Oh, and Daniel goes, I support that idea, the idea of the Bruce and Lois. I want Batman very far away from Wonder Woman. That was my favorite part of Full Circle, when he's talking about the whole Bruce and Diana thing, and he goes, yeah, it's fun to play with, but when you really do the math on it, it doesn't work. And I'm like, the minute he said I want to bring in Catwoman, I'm like, he was never going to put Batman and Wonder Woman together. That was not a thing. That was Batman flirting. And as comic book fans, we know he flirts with everyone.
Jared, I just got to say this. Who wants to live forever? Do you get what I'm implying?
No.
Highlander.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The whole outliving your lover thing.
And by the way, she doesn't have to outlive Superman. Just saying. Because by all indications,
a super Wonder Woman.
Yes, I am. Because I came into comics, DC Comics, a little before the SnyderVerse, but I wasn't like into them as I am now. I came in when they rebooted after Flashpoint and they put Superman and Wonder Woman together. I read that series, and when I read it, I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And people were like, well, it's boring and stuff. And I'm like, if you read the series, actually, hang on, Nick. If you read the series, what it actually does is that they are more different than you think they are, because she's a warrior. He's more of like the more laid back farmer. He's used to keeping a part of himself a secret with the secret identity. She's not used to that. And they have this whole little dynamic where they do argue, they do fight, but then they're like, yes, because Clark asked her, do you think we were better superheroes before we became a couple? And she goes, no, because there's a scenario when they're in a nuclear reactor, and this is when Zod and Feora show up in the DC Comics. They're in a nuclear reactor. They can't escape. They know the only way to stop them is to blow up the reactor. So the way they can do it is Wonder Woman's sword can cut as so sharp it can cut atoms, and Superman is the only one of them that could see atoms. So he's like, I'll guide the sword and you cut it. And she goes, to answer your question, we are better together. We actually need each other. So I'm like, that's awesome.
Is that the God Killer that she's using?
Yeah, I think so. And by the way, there's this great interaction with him and Batman, which real quick, which refutes the whole Superman needs Lois Lane to be human, because Batman goes, you were raised human your entire life. As far as you know, you're just a human that has powers. You don't care about being Kryptonian. No matter what, you will always see yourself as a human being. So I'm like,
can I just say,
yeah, go ahead.
I really like Bruce and Clark's bromance. Like their friendship is just some of the best written in comics.
Agreed.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, and as far as the shipping is concerned, I'm Wonder Bat, but only so that I can get on Jared's nerves. The only ship that
he doesn't care.
No, I care to annoy him, but that's about it. The one ship that I do care about is Nightfire, which is Nightwing and Starfire. That's the one that I actually care about.
Actually, Nick is inaccurate in that one thing. What he really likes is Batman, is Nightwing and Batgirl. I almost got it for you.
Shut your hooker mouth. I'm trying to watch my language, brother.
Well, Josh, what do you think of the whole like Wonder Bat versus Super Wonder thing?
To be perfectly honest, like I know, so I watched a few of your streams before this, and so I knew that you were very much agreeing with Zach that it doesn't really work, and I agree with that too. I like it because it reminds me of the animated series, right? Where there's flirting, and they banged, and so
well, actually, according to Eisenberg, it wasn't. It was just supposed to be flirting.
Wow, I don't know about that.
Well, it's a kids' television. They can't.
There's a lot of time between, even if Lois and Bruce didn't hook up like they were intended to, there was a lot of time that Diana and Bruce were recruiting the Justice League. So, and the way that they have their little interactions, I don't know.
Yeah, but, I'm sure Diana helped Bruce polish his batarangs.
And my favorite scene in Justice League is when she comes onto him and he goes, "No." He goes, "It never works. I'm a rich kid with issues." A lot of issues.
See, this is all it is. It's just a bit. Like it's just a bit.
It's just a bit.
And there's a comic that actually, I don't know if y'all know about it, but it's Justice League of America. I'm pretty sure it's the comic. I think it's of Wonder Woman's boot on Batman's head, I believe.
Hikatea.
That sounds like a writer's poorly disguised fetish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's basically like there's a dream sequence where Batman and Wonder Woman hook up and they have a relationship, but then Batman gets killed, and it drives Wonder Woman insane to the point where she basically becomes that horrible joke in Justice League where she's like, "Oh yeah, dress up as a bat in all black." She basically becomes Bat Wonder Woman and becomes full of vengeance because she's so distraught. And she awakes from this dream and tells Bruce, like, "Yeah, this."
She literally
holy injustice, Batman.
Exactly.
No,
literally injustice.
She literally becomes Wonder Bat.
She does become. He becomes Wonder Bat. Exactly.
And by the way, Batman's my boy again, dude. Batman. I never knew I agree with you on so much stuff. He goes, Wonder Bat was never going to work in Justice League because it came out after Batman Beyond, which established Batman as a loner.
I like my Batman.
Also, if you notice on that one episode where Talia comes back when he's like clicking through all his past loves, I don't think you see Diana on that screen.
Well, that was because there was no Justice League in existence, but there was a fan fiction that said that there was a secret shrine hidden in the Batcave where he hid the memorial to Diana. He didn't want anyone to know that he secretly loved her. So I believe.
I'm pretty sure Diana is still alive in the Batman Beyond timeline. She's doing something.
Well, she's immortal. So, but here's the thing: the thing about Wonder Bat and really Batman with anyone else, Batman will never be 100% be with anyone else because his number one love is the city of Gotham. Anything that distracts from his mission is going to go on the back burner.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say this though. Batcat is actually the only really one that works because I think Catwoman is really the only woman in like the whole thing that truly understands Bruce's mission. I think she's the only one who truly gets Bruce in like all aspects of him, both as a bat, like for example, go to Vicky Vale, she's just a reporter, whereas Catwoman, she's a hero, anti-hero in her own right. Like it's like when you have a singer, and like if you notice, singers tend to just marry other singers because they get the life, I think like if I'm going to be fully honest, Batcat is probably the one that really makes the most sense for Batman.
And also because what Catwoman contributes to him is that she shows him that it's not black and white because because pre-Catwoman, I think he kind of saw criminals as like black and white. They're either all good or all bad. He was like, no, not all these people are bad. They're really just victims of circumstance. He gave them a little more understanding of the criminal element.
Yeah, and one way to show that like Batman truly cares about Selina is he would have arrested her a long time ago if he didn't see something in her of value, like
hell, he proposed to her.
Yeah, my favorite Batcat is actually in Injustice because it just makes sense that they would both be united against the regime, together. And so I think.
What about Batquin?
No. There was this great
Ooh.
moment.
White Knight happened in White Knight.
Oh yeah, there was this great moment in Injustice. It's after Nightwing died, and Batman is like punching the crap out of a dummy because he's taken out all of his frustration because Nightwing died, and Wonder Woman just cradles him and lets him cry into her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But that's just Diana being a really good friend.
Did you just Freudian slip and say Diana again?
I know you said Wonder Woman was
No, I
holding
said Catwoman. It's Catwoman
No,
shows up.
You're the one who said Wonder Woman.
No, I
You
didn't.
said Wonder Woman.
No,
Yes,
I didn't.
Did. Roll it, rewind.
Roll it back. And Injustice 1, Catwoman betrayed Batman's team. Did she though?
I mean,
Because
she always portrays. I mean, that's just Batman expects it. You know, he knows.
I may have been called out. That was a Freudian slip on my part. But see, here's the thing. If you guys pay attention to the dialogue in Injustice 1, it was because Superman promised to not kill Batman. Right. So she's still doing it because she loves Bruce.
Jared, if you indulge me, can I talk about Nightfire for a second?
Just real quick. One more thing I will mention. There's this great moment in Tom King's Batcat. It was the sequel series to his Batman run that kind of wrapped it up. There's a scene after Selina finds out she's pregnant. And Dave the Impaler, you shut your mouth right now. You shut your mouth right now. But there was this great moment when they're fighting and Selina has to throw up because she's pregnant and Batman goes, there's a bucket in the Batmobile. It's a bat bucket. It's just a regular bucket, but it has a bat on it. And then Catwoman redeems herself in Injustice 2. Yes. So, Nick, what were you going to say about Nightfire?
So Nightfire.
I love how we're talking about ships right now, but all right.
You know, I mean, honestly, this is Comics League. We always find our way back to ships eventually. Even
if someone even if this guy has a really crappy taste in ships.
I mean, we're dropping the pretense for this stream, so
yeah.
But like, so the reason I like Nightfire, which is Nightwing and Starfire, is I feel like they truly do complement each other. Like, I feel like Batgirl and Nightwing are too similar, you know, in the fact that like they're both Batman proteges and whatnot. You know, it's like we need a match. You need someone who complements you. Whereas, like Richard and Barbara, they're just too similar. Whereas, but the thing is, Starfire, obviously she's in the life, but like Corey is a lot more like emotional and whatnot, and in the best way possible, a lot more caring. I feel like she's exactly the kind of person that Richard needs. And I feel like they complement, like their personalities complement each other so beautifully, and it's just such a like great, beautiful relationship that like I'm not going to totally discount Richard and Barbara, but like my heart's with Starfire.
What I will say though, to answer Brown Destroyer's question about who then would Batgirl be with, I was actually a fan in Three Jokers when they teased like Batgirl and Red Hood.
You like that?
Because here's why. They both have that shared experience of dealing with the Joker's trauma and stuff, and she can help him work through it because Jason is not over being killed and resurrected and being punched back to life by Superboy Prime. I'm sorry, I'm never going to drop that. He was punched back to life.
And with Tim, it's with Tim Drake, it's either spoiler or Cassie Wonder Girl.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate Tim and Barbara and Arkham. But I actually agree with you, Jared, that it actually does make sense that they would bond as a human over that trauma, right? And so that moment.
Oh, you mean Jason and Barbara?
Yeah, Jason and Barbara and Three Jokers.
Slip.
I didn't like it, but it makes, from a human perspective, I come from a psychology background. It makes sense that they would have that moment of intimacy together. So,
and by the way, Nick, I do agree with you. It's Tim Drake and Stephanie or bust. I'm not a big fan.
But Cassie, Wonder Girl, and Tim. If you read the Jeff Johns Teen Titans run of the early 2000s, that's
Cassie
where I get it from.
and Superboy.
No, Superboy and Ms. Martian.
That was only in the cartoon.
But it makes so much sense.
No, it doesn't. No. Hello, Nick. It doesn't, because if you read the comics, they actually work together really well.
I'm a big Ms. Martian fan. I just find her adorable.
Well, she is awesome. I'm not going to say no to that. First off, that show was incredible. I'm kind of sad we're not getting more.
Jared, question. let's say you're about to go to
Okay.
Comic-Con and you're wearing your Superboy outfit, and your girlfriend walks out as a Miss Martian, green paint and all.
I'm not going to complain. Why would I complain? All right, so I met Nolan North while dressed as Superboy Prime, as a Superboy from Young Justice.
Where at?
At Florida SuperCon, and he asked me, he goes, "What'd you think of like the season of like them killing Superboy?" And I goes, "It was awesome because first off, anyone that thought that was permanent has to understand that they're watching the DC show.
Right.
People die
Also,
literally every Tuesday."
Also, thank you, Brown Destroyer. Thank you so much.
I thought Jason Todd the hots for Supergirl, Jared. He did?
Which comic? I mean, it would make sense. I could see that actually.
They're both
I mean,
rage
Supergirl's
monsters.
pretty hot, so.
Well, yeah, I liked her when she was a Red Lantern. That was dope.
Mm-mm.
And
It's hot.
Bruce
I can
Wayne-
totally see Kara as a Red Lantern. I can totally see that.
They're both hotheads, so I could see them kind of.
Yeah, most Wonder Bat fans come from the Timverse Justice League, which I have a problem with that because Bruce Timm has been very vocal that he ships Batman and Batgirl, and I'm like,
Can we just go over? Can we just like? Just
we're
not
gonna
talk
skip
about
over
that?
it. We're gonna
Real quick,
what's up, Josh?
Real life, because I'm such a Adam West fan. I don't know if y'all know this. Yvonne Craig, the first Barbara Gordon, and Adam West had on set stuff going on. So
Oh, really?
I mean,
that is
did
a
you see
real
how
life
Yvonne?
thing that
Did you see
carry
what
over.
Yvonne Craig looked like at the time?
Yeah.
She was,
That's my
that girl
background.
was a smoke show back
By
in
the
the
way,
60s.
I don't have a problem with Killing Joke animated movie because of that. So,
But
that's
she's
it.
much younger in the movie, though.
All right,
But-
all right. I'm just gonna
But
say
real
this.
quick, I will say my favorite part of Batman 66 is all the henchmen have wearing black shirts that say henchmen on the back. Thanks for
Jared.
identifying yourself. But go ahead, Nick.
Well, first off, Jared, have you seen Return of the Cape Crusader?
Yes, that's
Where was
amazing.
that?
It's an
the-
animated movie. It's in the 66 verse, and they
Mhm.
actually brought back Adam West, Julie Newmar, and Burt Ward.
Is that? Oh, that's the animated one where they all voice each other. Okay.
And there's a
And it's
sequel,
actually
Haven't
like
watched
really
it yet.
subversive. It's really good.
Batman versus Two-Face with William Shatner as the 66.
I could so see that. Wow.
And he's good. He's really good as
And you know what the best part is? Adam West, obviously William Shatner was active during that time, so they very well could have hired him for Two-Face back then.
Oh, they went to orgies together, so it's been known.
Okay.
Gotta love the 60s.
Oh, okay. I gotta do my favorite. So tell me if you knew this fact. So you know how Zorro and Batman are kind of tied together. So you know how they were doing a Zorro show at the time they're doing Batman.
Oh no.
Did you know
I
there's
know
an
what you're
episode-
saying.
Did you know there's an episode of the Zorro show where Adam West actually guest stars as something Wayne, and it's implied that he's an ancestor of Bruce Wayne?
Are you kidding me? I did not know this.
That's actually
And I'm a
neat.
huge Zorro fan, actually. So
That actually happened. It's
I
an actual episode you can go look up right now, which I'm
wow.
pretty sure you're gonna look up right after we're done recording.
Yeah, the 60s show is amazing.
And by the way, Dave brings up Bruce Timm traumatized fans with Bat. Oh, that's actually that's a good name for the show.
I love that.
No. You call it Bat Bar.
Bat Bar.
We actually call it Batcest, but
Bat-
No, Crowbar. The Crowbar.
Crowbar. No, that's Batgirl.
No, Bat
and
Bar.
Jason.
As in the Bat Crowbar.
That's Batgirl and Jason Todd. That's the name of that ship right there. But yeah. So before we let you go, because it's about that time I normally wrap up, I want to ask you this as a DC fan. What did you think of the DC AMU movies?
So the ones that came after.
The newer ones before the ones that are going over right now.
I thought the quality was. I mean, I loved Apocalypse War. Other than Barbara getting Barbara would totally get torn apart by parademons, but her death, I was just like, no.
Actually, parademons merged with Doomsday.
I mean, I love Barbara Gordon, but I was just like, yep, that would happen. She would not stand a chance. So
all the Bat family members are getting murked left and right.
Except Damien. And I was like, well, yeah.
It's Damien. That's why.
But that's the thing. Honestly, so those movies, I do feel like they were not as good, of course, as the, Timverse, I would say, Bruce Timverse. But it made me really respect Damien as a character. The Batman versus Superman, son of Batman, even.
Can I just say my favorite moment is when Bruce is heading towards a date I think it's like with Catwoman or something. And then like Damien calls him up on like the car video phone. It's like, please use protection, father. like I love that. I love, and he's just petting the dog while doing it. It's like, oh my god,
it was really good. And the death and return of Superman was amazing in my opinion. And I think that's when they stopped having Superman and Wonder Woman. They really were like, okay, it's Lois and Clark now.
No, that's my biggest annoyance. They did it off screen,
right? Like it was just
at least show it.
They were like, we gotta correct.
or have some balls and just have Superman, because we've never seen an actual death of Superman, but he's with Wonder Woman.
You're right. That's
because
true.
It's pretty much the exact same story as the comic. And this universe is built on the New 52. So
Jared, please tell me that in your comic, that if you ever have like a Death of Atlas storyline, that you will have Athena holding Atlas.
Oh, that's the plan.
You'll recreate that panel.
Referencing is I'm writing a comic as a tribute to the SnyderVerse. So yes, I will have. It's gonna have an homage to all the different SnyderVerse things, to DC. But yes, okay, I'll spoil it. Yes, there was that moment in there, and she is cradling him. I'm gonna tell you that right there, because Nick, for some reason, whenever Nick is like, Jared, what you should do, and I'm like, I already did it.
He knows.
See, the thing is, like, Jared and me, we just have these moments where we look at each other like, so this is why we're best friends.
Yeah, except the New 52 died, but it's actually really funny. So did you know? And then I'll let you go. I did the research on this because I wanted to do a little video of sales analysis on the Super Wonder book specifically. That book, first off, it was one of the few DC books to outsell 100,000 copies, and then when they did it and did like the Superman with Lois book and the Superman Rebirth, they couldn't even scratch any of the sales from the Superman Wonder Woman book even before it got bad. Yeah. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Friends, he was completely diehard Marvel. And when he learned that Superman and Wonder Woman were together, he completely, to this day, because of New 52, that book converted him. He's fully DC now, so he doesn't really keep up with Marvel anymore. He just what's going on Wonder Woman, what's going on Superman, because he's just waiting for them to remember, remember when we were a couple?
Because they've teased that so. There was a book in Hecate, even for the I'll get to you, Nick. Even before the New 52, Wonder Woman's walking through the embassy. She's got a mug, but on the mug is the Superman crest. So I'm like, oh, someone's biased. So go ahead, Nick.
I looked it up, and what you're looking for is a show called Zorro, which aired from 1990 to 93. And you're looking for season 2, episode 1, The Wizard. And you have Adam West play Dr. Henry Wayne.
Season 2, episode 1. So the premiere.
Of Zorro, which is the one from the 90s, early 90s.
1993, you said?
The air date is December 14th, 1990. So it's, yeah. All
right. I will definitely look that up. Thank you for doing that.
But Rebirth I thought was amazing, but it didn't really sell that well. I mean, there are some parts of Rebirth that I freaking love. I love Rebirth Batman. I love Rebirth Green Lantern. I'm a huge fan of. I know Jeff Johns' name is not exactly the highest regarded in the Snyderverse community, but his Green Lantern run is just so good. And ironically, his Justice League run is what a lot of the Snyderverse stuff was based on. So I'm like, read Darkseid War and tell me this doesn't read like a Zack Snyder movie.
Real quick, I was looking at my poll this week. Do y'all happen to know, are you familiar with the multiverse Harley destroys the DCU? Because apparently she's going to destroy Batman's origin this week. And I was like, this is weird. My poll or not? Because I'm not
Batman. Sure. It's titled Harley.
Harley is not Deadpool. Stop. Quit. Okay, I got to do this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quit trying to make Deadpool Harley, DC. It's not going to happen.
That's why they made Red Tool.
Yeah. They literally have a Deadpool. His name is Red Tool.
I thought Ambush Bug was DC.
Yeah, it's non-canon, but it's still stupid.
But isn't Ambush Bug basically DC's Deadpool?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I acknowledge that Harley's become like a feminist icon. I understand that. But the thing about Harley is that she works best when she's the Joker's henchman, because she's supposed to represent the Joker's ability to manipulate someone.
I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of her stories from like the 2000s and 2010s were like fine, because I think what Harley represents to a lot of women is like the abusive relationship angle, like the survive. Like, I think there's a lot of women who were like victims of like abusive boyfriends or like they know people, and her struggle really resonates with a lot of those people. I think that's why she's so popular. Is that angle. And
a lot of the women in my life love Suicide Squad. Love it.
And I think there is a room for an independent anti-hero Harley Quinn. I don't think Harley Quinn should be a hero. An anti-hero, I think, is fine. You know, and like, I'm not even opposed to her being in a relationship with Poison Ivy, because they've been like,
I'm sorry, teased that for decades.
If you watch Batman the animated series, like they were went
as far as the show was allowed to go for that time period. So that's the one of them, because typically I'm not a big fan when they just retroactively change a character.
But it's not retroactive.
Stuff.
It's literally
no, Nick, I'm getting to the point.
I'm sorry.
Typically, I'm not a fan when they say, "Oh, this character is gay," or "This character is bi," or something like that, because there are so many fantastic characters that are being put on the back burner. But when I found out about Harley Quinn, I was like, because having seen all the context, I was like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because like, if you go and look at like Batman the animated series, or even some of her other stuff, like for example, like, you remember that team up episode where they had Batgirl and Supergirl versus Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy?
One of my favorite.
Like, there are so many episodes of them living together. So many episodes of, like, it's like, I don't like the word coded, because I feel like that's kind of like an excuse to like, but they're very heavily coded. In this instance, I think it's it was heavily implied that they're lesbians, and it's like, you go back to Harley, because like the anime series is basically the primordial soup that which and so I think she was forged with like the bi identity kind of encoded into her character. So this is not even a retroactive retcon. This is just like an aspect of her character that was always there. It's just they couldn't really touch upon it in like a kid's show in the 90s, you know?
Yeah, it's not like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not like when they did Tim Drake, and it's like, where did that come from? He was with Stephanie like last issue.
I don't like that. As someone who is LGBT, I do not like the Tim. I don't mind John so much, but
because he's a new character, and that's the thing. Right. But here's the thing: if you want to highlight LGBT characters, Midnighter and Apollo,
exactly,
or even making Wonder Woman bi, because like, she grew up in a society full of women, to where like, even if like, here, let me finish, please. Even if she's straight, she grew up in a society where dating women was as normalized as you can get. So like, the idea of her dating a woman is like no big deal in her head. So like, having Wonder Woman date Big Barda, like, whatever.
Makes sense.
Here's the thing about that, and then I promise we'll wrap up. But the thing about that is that I had problems with that for two reasons. First off, yeah, it made sense when they kind of said Wonder Woman is bi, because she comes from an island of women. The only problem with that is two things. Number one, she was the only kid on the island, so those women are practically her aunts. So it kind of even though she's not blood related to them, like, ideally in her head she's related to them. So it's kind of odd.
Well, my argument is she grew up in a culture where it was as normalized as you can be, you know.
And it's Greek. Greeks were very.
Well, yeah. I was about to say, you do it. Watch any documentary about Greek culture, but the other
thing, like, Greek and Roman society was so freaking queer. They didn't even have concepts of gay and straight.
Yeah,
it was dominant and submissive.
Yep.
Like the fact, like being straight or gay didn't even exist. It was, you were either dominant or you're submissive.
You had your wife, and then you had your little side boy or whatever. And that's just how.
Little side boy. I love how you phrase that. But the second thing, when you think about it, she's actually canonically not. Here's what I mean by that. That was just a writer saying, I've always considered her this way. They haven't really done anything explicit saying that she is that way, because here's why.
I would say my headcanon is she may be straight, but the idea of her getting with a woman is not that far-fetched. It's totally like within the realm of logic to her. Yeah. So like even if she's straight, because like you see a lot of straight women that are like casually bisexual or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, where they might not actively date women, but like you see like it's like especially in modern day where like they'll kiss them or they'll do stuff. Mm-hmm. I think to Wonder Woman, like the idea of it is like, oh, okay, like yeah, whatever.
And humans are on the spectrum. Like things change in life. So when a lot of women, it's very typical when they have the married life, they get, married out of high school, have the family, and they do everything, but then it ends in divorce. They're kind of like liberated. So they explore themselves, and sometimes they go and find.
Yeah, the funny thing is you're kind of touching upon a story beat that I actually detest. You see this in a lot of storytelling where it's like, oh, I was in a hetero relationship. I had a bad breakup. I guess I'm gay now. Like, you see this all the freaking time, and it just annoys the crap out of me.
They don't show the setup. That's the thing. They skip to the end without showing the middle. Because I'm fine if you want to change a character's, like, sexuality. If you show us that. Because here's the thing. I get that the way it is in real life is that it is a spectrum and all that stuff, and it changes. Mm-hmm. But from a storytelling perspective, you can't do that because you have to show the setup for anything. You can't.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't care if like they did like storytelling if they did this like once in a while, but like they do that story beat all the freaking time. Like they have a bad breakup and all of a sudden they're gay now, and it's like it happens like all the time. It's just like come on.
Or with Tim Drake, they didn't even show you the breakup.
Yeah, is he still? I didn't finish Titans.
He still is. You know why it was? Because I think the writer shipped Tim Drake and Superboy. That's what I think she was trying to build to that. But
I've seen a lot of art, and I'm like,
yeah. But the comic tanked so hard.
Oh, there's a Wonder Bat for you.
Yeah.
No. The Wonder Bat is Tim Drake and Sandsmark.
Oh yeah.
Because where's the wonder in that Wonder Bat, Nick?
Did we just agree that there is a version of Wonder Bat that we both agree on?
The version of Wonder Bat that I like is Batman Damian Wayne and Cassandra Cain Cassandra Sandsmark Wonder Woman in Deceased. That I like.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying that there is a version that we have agreed upon?
Yeah, it's just not Bruce and Diana.
Oh, we have attained world peace, everybody.
Look what I've done. I've brought you together.
You brought us all together. You're the great peacemaker, Josh.
The nations are in harmony. Yeah. Peace has been restored.
My job is...
But it's all good. So, yeah, we're going to call it. So, Josh, always a pleasure having you on. You're always welcome. Where can one find you?
Yeah, I'm just on Twitter mostly talking about Zack Snyder stuff. I started doing a few YouTube live streams, and I guess you saw me on one and invited me. So thanks for having me. I've been trying to catch up on some of your stuff, and I see that you got some great videos up. So I'm going to be watching more. So thanks for making my debut here.
Awesome. You're always welcome. Just tell me to send you a link, and I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
So, and Nick, where can we find you, and what we got coming out?
All right. So you can find me on Twitter, search the Phoenix Press. YouTube, search the same. Tomorrow I got my Friday Night Frenzy. We're doing a tribute to the Fox universe, talking about our favorite Fox Marvel films. I figured, with that reveal, it'd be kind of good to capitalize on that. Then Saturday, we are continuing our playthrough of Resident Evil 2, modded, of course. With Claire Supergirl. So I think you'd like
that. Nice.
Wait till you see the other character in that mod.
Oh yeah. So always a good discussion. Then on Monday, got the next episode of our rewatch, and on Wednesday we got the Super Split Screen Brothers, and always a good time on my channel. Feel free to check out my stuff. If you ever want to be a guest, let me know.
Yeah, for sure, I will. I like the Phoenix. So
yeah, there you go. So, and in terms of Comics League, This week we're doing an Under Two Capes episode talking about our favorite DC animated project. So this is the way to bring things #full circle. And on Saturday we are doing a watch through of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the best superhero movie of all time. And then on Sunday I am reviewing Born of Blood with the actual writer of the comic. It's basically a sword and sorcery. It takes place in ancient Sparta, so I got mad 300 vibes.
This is Sparta.
I read the comic after watching the movie, and the comic is so the movie is so page to screen that legit I am hearing the actors while I'm reading the book. I'm like, dude.
Shout out to your mom for making it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to my mom. But on that note, everyone, stay heroic, and I will be sure to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.